Hey everyone, welcome back to Magic City Neighbors on the mic. This is episode 11. I'm here, Jack's here, and across the table from me, I have Tiffany Peters, and I am going to read this. She is Interim Executive Director and Director of Finance currently for the Barberton Community Foundation. That is a hell of a title because she does a lot of stuff, which is going to make for an interesting conversation. Stay tuned. You're listening to Magic City Neighbors on the mic, where we talk to your Barberton neighbors about their stories, their insights, and what gets them laughing. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And now, to the show.
Thank you guys for tuning in again. Like, subscribe, and make sure to share with your Magic City neighbors.
This week, like we said, we've got Tiffany Peters here, and Tiffany, you've got a path, I believe, that led you to having 6 words in your current job title. Now, I know one of them's interim. But how did you end up here?
So I was born in a small town. Just kidding. I was, but I actually would love to put in the fact that I'm actually a boomerang. Like Melanie Blackamato was a boomerang who was on your podcast. I grew up in Portage County, moved to Florida, came back. People say, why did you come back? It's better up here. It really, really is. I love raising my family up here. Love it. So I have a degree in finance. I have an MBA with concentration in finance and IT. So I've spent the last 25 years in my career in corporate finance, in public accounting, doing some litigation work. And about 8 years ago, I jumped into nonprofit, kind of by chance. We're not going to talk about that, but it's not bad. That sounds like it's bad. No, an opportunity came up and it was perfect timing. So I went into nonprofit and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. The atmosphere, the mission, and the feeling like you're really making a difference. It gets me right here. Yeah. And the pace and the schedule is much, much, much better than working in corporate and that CPA world that I was in before. And
I'm sure it's a very different mindset. I'm sure, because instead of it's pinching every penny, it's making sure that every penny is going out and doing the most good, which is a different way to look at it.
Exactly. You really become connected to the community because you hear about all the needs that they have, but you also hear about the generosity of the people and the people who are willing to volunteer their time and offer leadership for the community. It's fantastic.
Because Barberton I believe we've mentioned this, Jack, that Barberton seems to have a unique sense of community. And so many Barberton people do not realize that this is not something that every place has.
No.
It's so you've been with the foundation how long now?
About 1.5 years.
Perfect.
About 1.5 years.
So that's long enough to start seeing some change.
My goodness, yes. It's been a lot of change even just since I've been here. I live here also.
Yeah.
I've lived here for 9 years. And that's kind of how I ended up here. I know people who are involved with the foundation. And when I was getting to a point in my previous role where it was just all consuming and it was it was just not a good fit for my family. And I found this was available. I jumped on it.
Oh, of course.
I jumped on the director of finance role. But I'm sorry, what were you asking?
No, you were good. So, what's changed in that past 1.5 years that's been a switch?
You mean at the foundation or Barberton, or there's just been a lot.
All of it.
There's been a lot, sure. So one of the biggest changes that I've seen is just the momentum around economic development and Main Street.
Okay.
That has been such a big push. I know that right before I joined the foundation the year before, we made that final payment on the high school, which we can talk about.
That.
Yeah.
Yes.
We made that final payment in 2021. And there was a lot of talk and a lot of discussion about what's really important and necessary and impactful now that we can do with the funds that we have available. And a big part of that was economic development. How do we bring jobs in? How do we bring quality, good paying jobs in, bring in industry? Work with the businesses who are already here, help them grow. That was a big push. That was a big change. We weren't actively doing that before. Now we have Ted, our director of economic development, full-time doing that. And we, this year, we're slated to give out about $500,000 in grants related to economic development.
Wow.
So
that's a big push.
Big change. It's a big change. And we recognized, the need for that revitalization. And we worked with the city and other partners to bring in that Main Street Ohio group to see what can we do here and helped get Main Street off the ground. And that just caused so much excitement. It's really cool to see.
It is. Because, I mean, with us being in the studio right downtown here, not that I've touted that only like every episode. But with us being right downtown here, I am so excited that we're in here now so we get to watch that.
Yeah, exactly.
That to me is just going to be huge.
And you can bring your Dora drinks in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to need a coaster with this table, but bring the Dora drinks in.
Exactly.
Bring them in.
And so, like, how did the community foundation come into existence?
Because he's not old enough to know this.
No,
there's a lot of people that don't know this.
Right. So I'll never forget the year that it all happened because it's the year I graduated high school, 1996.
Same.
I lived in Florida, but what happened was a lot of people are familiar with the fact that Barberton had a citizens hospital.
Right.
And in 1996, there was negotiation and a deal made that was a very favorable deal. And the hospital was up for sale, and a deal was struck to sell it for $86 million. I may be getting a little bit of the semantics or the logistics wrong there, but excuse me, the funds were originally supposed to revert back to the city, but there was a group of concerned, forward-thinking citizens who said, why don't we put this in a foundation? Why don't we make this last forever?
Yeah.
Instead of putting it in a bank account to spend now, let's make it last forever. And the coolest thing about that is since the formation with that $86 million, we've already given over $110 million in grants, and we still have the endowment.
Wow.
It's really cool.
It's a large sum.
It's a large sum.
That carry the one, move the decimal point. Yeah, that's a lot.
But one of the things that I don't know if people are aware of, because we paid for the high school, that was the first grant that we made. We agreed to pay $2 to $2.5 million a year for the high school for 25 years. That was a huge part of how this initiative got passed, was because of that commitment. But that has saved Barberton taxpayers $58 million. $58 million. And you divide that by 25,000 people, it's over $4,000 per person.
Wow.
Over that time. It's a lot of money.
That is a big chunk of money.
It's a big chunk of money. So the original endowment came out of that sale, and we've been operating as a community foundation since. And we're not traditional community foundation in the sense of we simply collect dollars from the community, from donors. We are a support organization where we are formed to support the city and the schools, and thereby the residents and the students. So it's a little different than if you're thinking of like another community foundation around here.
Sure. So it's fully supported then by that original endowment.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
That's amazing.
We do work with donors who want to establish scholarships.
Yep.
We just recently, we're so excited about this, just recently finished with Rudy Sharkey's family setting up the Coach Rudy Sharkey Memorial Scholarship Fund. That was really cool.
Yes.
That's really cool to assist student athletes in their furthering education. It's really cool.
That is. And what makes the foundation different from other things, and like how is it regulated?
Oh, how is it regulated?
So yeah, like, I mean, how do you keep you said, I mean, it still has, you've given out 110 million or something like that.
Given out over $110 million.
But you still have, still have the 86 or whatever. I do that math, and that math does not make a lot of sense in my head. That you can give out, you give out 86. I've tried that, and the bank has called me on that. so how does that happen?
Sure.
How's that regulated? How's that done?
Well, so it's my favorite kind of math. It's finance. What we do, we work with very intelligent, qualified investment advisors, along with our board and our finance committee, to invest these dollars in a safe, relatively safe. We take some risk, but
sure.
We invest in a wide variety of investments. We're well diversified. To all my finance nerds out there, diversification. I told Kate I wasn't sure if I was going to let personality shine through, but let's go for it.
Yes.
So we have a robust portfolio, and we aim to earn a certain return on that per year. And in that return that we earn, that's where we do our spending. So if you have, let's say you have $100 million and you earn 6%, you're going to have $6 million to spend and still have your $1 million. So that's how we do our spending.
So it's basically off that investment interest, so to say.
It's off the investment income. Correct.
That makes sense. So to me, I know I used this before we came on air, but that means I would spend both dollars this year from my investment income. Yeah. No, that's, I don't know.
You could spend 12 cents on $2. Yeah.
Can I? Wow. I can't even shove that in a vending machine.
Get an error message.
Right. Yeah. No, I was even thinking of one of the hand crank ones, because those, like a dime or a nickel might get me a Super Ball or a Jawbreaker or something like that to survive on. Well, to me, I think I'm ready for the lightning. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Sure. Okay.
So this is kind of what the people want to know, as we've asked. And the first one is I kind of summed this up. There is some confusion, I guess I would say, in how the community foundation is tied to the government. Is it? And what's the connection? What's that there? So
correct. So there is sometimes confusion there. We are a completely separate entity. We have our own board of directors, our own code of regulations. We have our own rules that govern us. But we do have, since we are a supporting org, we have significant influence on our board from the city and the schools. We have a certain number of members to have, so that they have a majority of the votes in any situation.
Makes sense.
And then what's the next thing that we can look for from the foundation?
Oh, that's a good question.
You asked pretty wide.
Ask this of the interim executive director.
Right.
A new executive director. That's what you could look for.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
A new leader.
The interim will come off of the title, and there will be an actual executive director. Okay.
And the process is it's in process, and I get asked all the time. I'm going to spare you the question. I may apply, but we really just want the right person. We want somebody who is, like Suzanne always said, kind and smart and thoughtful, and can work well with the various leaders in the community.
It makes sense. You do seem to fit that bill, though, from everything that I know. So that being said, what's the favorite project you've ever been a part of?
So I'm always afraid of this favorite thing, because there have been a lot of things that I've really enjoyed working on.
What's a memorable one?
Let's
go with that.
A memorable one. For about 6 or 7 years, I was on the board of directors for the Barberton Women's Shelter in Akron, and when I started on that board, their budget, I'm going to get this wrong, but let's just do round numbers. Their budget was around $1 million. They were split up into 2 small locations, but there was an opportunity to apply for federal funds to purchase a new larger facility to bring everything under one roof and offer better services, to bring services to the people much more easily. And it went through it. They were successful. They received, I feel like it was maybe close to $1 million in the federal funds. And that just spurred more donations, more donors, more support. And it's just blossomed.
Awesome.
And it's really cool. It was really cool to be a part of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm planning soon. I want to start my own business. And if I do, will you give me money? I need something to fund myself.
So it just so happens that we work with community partners who do that. We cannot grant to individuals or businesses. We have to grant to nonprofits, but there are other agencies in the area who do work with businesses, such as BCDC. I don't know if you've had them on here yet.
No.
They work. They're one of the economic development arms in the community, and
Might want to.
That's
Good plan.
Is that who we're having on as a guest? Okay.
I don't know if they do startups, but they do work with companies who either can't or don't want to get traditional financing for various reasons, and we invest in them.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's cool.
So I mean, this brings us to our every person questions. And you alluded to the fact that you have something new, unique, and different for what is your favorite Barberton folklore, tall tale, and or rumor. Let's hear it.
Okay.
Wow us.
I'm so excited to say this on a podcast that people are going to listen to because I would love to know where this comes from. It's not super juicy, but nobody seems to know where this comes from. When we first moved here, so much purple. We're like, where does this purple come from? And the thing that stuck out to me, because it was so obscure and it was so simple, there's a legend that the high school needed new curtains, and they had a small budget, and the only curtains they could afford were these giant purple velvet curtains, and the community just embraced the purple. They love the purple, and that's where it all started. I've never heard anybody verify. I don't even remember where I heard this, but it came because the theater curtains were purple and they loved it. And just...
It's stuck. Interesting one. Interesting one. So yeah.
It's not juicy, I said, but
no, but
I've never heard that.
That's very interesting. So we need people to confirm or deny this.
I ask people all the time and they don't know. They've never heard this before.
No. And I mean, it's funny because now in your position, I mean, I believe most of the time that I have seen you, it has been in some sort of purple jacket.
I have lots of purple.
Following the trend.
My friends in Akron, every time they see me, they say, she's in purple. Always.
And what do you see as a future for Barberton, and where do you think we're headed, and what are the bright spots?
Gosh, with the bright spots are the sense of community. There's so many kind and generous and involved people in this town. It's really encouraging as someone who works with a lot of them to see the momentum and the excitement behind things like Main Street. When we get this off and running, we as a city get Main Street off and running and expand it and leverage it and springboard off of it. I really see our community, that sense of community and the lovely things that we have to offer, this charming downtown and the lake just blooming.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That to me is always that is a great spot to end it. We both want to thank you for your time. We know, I mean, when 6 words in your title, you're busy. You're a busy woman. So thank you very much.
This is a nice break.
Good. Glad to hear that. But thank you for coming down. We've really enjoyed it. As Jack said in the beginning, guys, make sure you share all this with your Magic City neighbors, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.